Hey, Pretty Girl Club. I wanted to make a follow up to the Tyla video because I feel like one thing that the Black community doesn't understand is the definition of pedestalization. The definition of pedestalize means to place something on a pedestal, to hold something in very high esteem, especially to an exaggerated degree. They pedestalize Beyonce, they pedestalize Rihanna, they pedestalize MLS women, and I'm talking about Black women doing this. These are the main women, these are the main ones who complain about colorism, texturism, featureism, anti-Blackness, etc. They pedestalize MLS women themselves by supporting MLS artists more than the other artists, by supporting MLS content creators when they make their hair videos and stuff, watching them more, by obsessing over these nobody reality star celebrities who happen to be MLS people. No shade to people like Brittany Renner or, women who are on reality shows. But it's like, if you truly don't like those women or you don't care about those women, why are you so obsessed over them? Because you don't realize that you are actually pedestalizing them by giving them all this extra attention, by examining their lives. In order to even do those things, like examine their lives and examine their beauty, you would have no choice but to follow them on social media, be looking at all of their pictures online, be Googling them. So every time you do stuff like that, you're making them go up in the algorithm. You're making their channels go up and you're making them get paid more. You're increasing their views. You're increasing their opportunities because now that person gets to say, hey, I got 1 million views on my TikTok video. Hey, I got all of these people talking about me. And so that is good publicity. And I think this is something that a lot of Black women in particular do not realize is that by holding certain hair textures, for example, by holding that wavy hair texture in high esteem and saying that that hair texture makes you look like a baddie, and then you're not saying that the 4C Afro hair textures make you look like a baddie, the economy works based on supply and demand. And so by pedestalizing certain hair textures, well, yes, you're going to drive up the prices of the hair textures that you can purchase, the extensions that look more like my hair texture as opposed to the very kinky 4C hair textures. And so I feel like a lot of people, they don't understand basic psychology and basic sociology. The more attention you give to something, the more you're pedestalizing it. How do I know if somebody is at the bottom? Well, because they're invisible. So it's like if Mariah the Scientist or Tyla or Ice Spice or whatever, if they were really that irrelevant, then you wouldn't even notice them. They'd be invisible. You wouldn't be talking about them. You wouldn't be making videos about them. You wouldn't even be paying attention to them, right? But the fact that you're paying so much attention to them and not paying any attention to Ari Lennox, not paying any attention to Kelly Rowland, you're not examining their relationships. You're not examining who they're dating and their marriages and all that. You're not giving them any publicity whatsoever. You're giving all of the publicity to what's happening with the women who either are mixed or look mixed. And you don't realize that by doing that, you are subconsciously driving up the demand for that particular celebrity. You're driving up the demand for that particular hair texture. And it's so funny because I saw somebody comment on my YouTube channel saying how their foundation shade was sold out in the mall, or like when they went to the makeup counter, and they're light skinned and their foundation shade was sold out. This actually reminds me of when I used to live in a city that was like very populated with African Americans. And I remember my concealer shade used to be sold out as well. And my foundation shade was usually low in stock too. And I feel like by purchasing the super light foundations and the super light concealers, to be honest, I have mainly seen darker skinned, unambiguous women doing that, but they don't realize that by doing that, you're kind of driving up the demand for those particular colors. And so when makeup lines come out with new brands and stuff, or like new lines of concealers and foundation, guess what shades they're going to focus on? Guess what shades they're going to focus on expanding? It's going to be my shade, as opposed to the deepest, darkest shades, because those shades don't get as many sales. Because has anyone noticed how a lot of unambiguous women, they will do a lot of foundation mixing, and then they'll try to be like, oh, I mix my foundation with like a Fenty 330, even though I'm like a Fenty 430. And, I have to mix it because it matches my skin tone. But it's like, why do you have to mix it with a foundation that is that much lighter than your natural skin tone? For example, if I can't find my shade at a particular brand, first of all, I'll stop shopping at that brand, because why would I even support a brand that doesn't have my shade? That's number one. I would definitely not purchase two foundations from a brand that was dumb enough to not even have my foundation shade. I would never do that in my life. And I would also never purchase a white girl foundation shade to mix it in with like a shade that's closer to my skin tone. That's not even how basic color mixing works. Anyone that's into artistry or Photoshop knows that you don't mix a foundation that is around your complexion or one shade darker with a foundation that's way lighter. That's going to make the final product come out too light for your skin tone. Why not mix two darker shades of foundation to perfectly match your skin tone? So you know what I mean? That is actually a form of subconscious pedestalization. I feel like some women genuinely purchase lighter foundations and lighter makeup because they want to feel mentally like they are associated with that skin tone. I talked about this in my Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority video about how a lot of unambiguous monoracial dark-skinned Black women wanted to join that sorority because they wanted to be associated with the positive stereotypes that are known in that sorority. We all know that that sorority is known for mainly having lighter skinned women and mainly having women who are like mixed race or whatever. And so it's like, if I was a dark skinned unambiguous woman and I wanted to join a sorority, why would I join the one that has a history of excluding women like me and like being stuck up or whatever and like being bougie and super feminine? And so because of that, they want to exclude people who are like darker or whatever. Why would I put my time, energy, effort, and money into joining something like that? And this is a perpetual problem that I see in the Black community, but I've noticed that people tend to only call out the Black men's problem with this, where it's like, you know, you only support the white businesses or whatever. I've noticed that Black women in particular only support MLS female artists, and they make videos more about us. They buy the foundations that are closer to our shade. Like I've even seen Jackie Aina use a butter pecan. She literally used a shade that was close to mine as one of her concealers. And I'm not even trying to throw shade at Jackie Aina because like I like her videos and stuff. But I was thinking in my mind when she did that, I was like, why did she have to use a shade that was that bright? She said that she had a very dark spot on her skin and she was just kind of blending that super light shade in with her foundation. But I personally have never gone to the store and spent money on a white girl foundation and put it on my face, ever. That doesn't even make sense to me. Like, I'm not even interested in doing that. That was never even an idea in my head. So I guess the question is, why is that even an idea in your head to get a foundation or concealer 20 to 30 shades lighter than you when you're literally Nigerian? You're getting a foundation that is my shade or a concealer that's my shade to cover up a spot. Wouldn't a foundation that is closer to your natural tone do a better job of covering up that spot? Just saying. And also, this obsession over Tyla and Mariah the Scientist and their privileges that they have. Once again, I've already talked about this on this channel. If you do not have a particular privilege, the way to solve your sadness about that is not by making multiple videos about people who have the privileges that you do not have. You only have two options. You either change yourself to attain that privilege, or you accept the fact that you will never have that privilege and that XYZ other person will always have that privilege over you. And that's it. Those are the only two options. Complaining about it, that's not going to make Ice Spice lose her brand deals or lose her record label. You know, it's not going to make Beyonce get her Grammys taken away. And also, by complaining about the privileges others have, it's like, do you really want someone to give you something out of pity? Do you really want someone to subscribe to your YouTube natural hair channel out of pity? Do you really want a guy to date you out of pity because he feels bad for you that you don't get as many dates as a white girl? Like, that's not a good brand to have for yourself. That doesn't convey confidence. It doesn't convey loving yourself. So that's why I think it's actually a lie when a lot of these women say, oh, well, I love myself. My melanin's popping. Everything's popping. Well, if your melanin is so popping, why would you buy the least melanated concealer shades from the makeup counter? If your hair texture is so poppin', why is it that on all of your special occasions, all of your birthdays, Christmases, parties, and photo shoots, you are wearing like wigs and stuff that have hair textures that are more silky? That means that you associate silkier hair textures with looking more formal or more elegant or put together, which is fine if that's what you associate it with, but then just don't go calling yourself, just don't say, oh, 4C is like the best hair texture ever. You know, it's like it's like I have a cloud on my head or whatever. My hair reaches for the sky, like it's so much prettier. It's the prettiest hair texture. No, because you've already proven based on your actions that you don't think your hair texture is the prettiest texture, which is, again, that's fine. I don't care if people want to change themselves. What I do care about is people making fun of me for no reason when I didn't do anything. All we're doing over here is existing. You told us in the Black empowerment space, you guys told us to get out of your space, to stop replacing you, to stop trying to derail your conversations. And so now we're over here having our own conversation. And that's just something I've noticed. Anyway, what do you ladies think? Let me know in the comment section and I'll talk to you next time. Stay pretty, ladies.